Welcome to today's video, guys. Patch 1.022 has been officially previewed on the Call of Dragons YouTube, so we're going to look at it. We're going to have a look at it. So here we are, and going deep dive into the brand new season, Season T1. Hello, guys. Yes, smash a like on and subscribe for more daily videos with me, MrSneakyy, and this got released yesterday night. Yes, it got released yesterday night, but I've been really busy, as you guys can imagine, trying to sort out my migration plans and stuff, so that's kind of why the video's been a little bit delayed, but we have been looking at it ourselves. We've already seen it once, we've seen what's coming up, and obviously I'm going to give you my actual first 4 impressions of everything properly. You know, we're not going to assume stuff or all like that. I am going to give you my advice as well on this new patch, so let's go into it, right? Because it does start off straight away showcasing the brand new map, right? So we've got the brand new map here. So this is a little bit different, as you can see, to what we're used to, which is going to be interesting, right? We're going to see if the players like it. Obviously, a lot of players like the Season 1 map a lot, and they've not really enjoyed the Season 2 map, they've said. So the devs have kind of gone back to that Season 1 map again, but they've changed it again. So maybe it's still as open, but maybe the terrain or just like this map shapes, you know, the zone shapes are a little bit different, and obviously creating a new area for you to be in, right? So it's going to be an interesting take. We're going to obviously see how it is. I'm not going to say it's going to be bad or good, but I do want to say straight out it's going to be fun because I loved Season 1, right? And everyone kind of loved their Season 1. So this is like the map. You can go into the map as well, but now we're going to go into the new season changes, because the new season changes has a lot of stuff in it. So we can first, as we go through here, we're going to pause the video so we can see them. These are some of the brand new policy changes. So this is going to be the brand new policy tree when you're in here. So you can see at the very beginning, even though it's just cut off, it's going to be your PvE damage. Then you've got your PvE XP and vigor. So we're going to see what these spread the world, and where my head's kind of hiding it, I do apologize. There we go. We've got the little vigor behind myself there. Basically, this might be like mana reduction or resource, you know, maybe healing reduction. And then spread the world looks to be something to do with policies. Then you got military expansion, which is good. Then you got your 2 trees to do with healing, and then resource healing, and then gem prospecting. But then you've got your choice again. So just remember, when you get to your choices here, when it's the fire turret, ice turret, and poison turret, you can only pick one, and it won't allow you to switch at the moment until maybe they add that into the game. But at the moment, you can't switch, so just make sure, you know, the turret you're picking is the right one. But we can see now when we go across a little bit more, here we go, we're adding some newer stuff in, right? So we've got apothecary upgrade, healthcare reforms, medical administration, and medical process. So always looks to be like healing based. Augment defenses to upgrade your tower or turret, should we say. And then again, these are what we know. So solid armor and defensive pushback seems to be again turret stuff, and the resource and counter defense merits is turrets again for completing it. But now in this end game, this is where it's going to be a little bit different, and I think people are going to have, personally, I think, a mixed opinion on it, because we've got resource healing and all the different healings again, which is really, really good. But then we have infantry drills, cavalry drills, marksman drills, and magic drills, right? And to a lot of players, this might not sound that bad, because again, maybe a free-to-play player can maximize maybe 1 or 2 of these. But you got to think, for a spender and a whale player, these are basically, these are stats or effectiveness stats when you are fighting with these units in the open field. Well, a spender's going to have all these maxed out. And again, this is kind of creating that PvP barrier between the free-to-players and spenders within a policy system. And that's kind of what the old policy system used to be, and they strayed away from it because no one liked it. You know, they liked the fact that the policy tree should be something that's not a, you know, PvP talent. It's not giving you PvP stats. It's just helping you within the actual season, if that's PvE content or resource farming, right? So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And then obviously we've still got the administrative excellence, military expansion 2 at the end, and all the healing right at the very, very end with cursed swords. Whatever this is, it's going to be interesting. We'll soon see. But again, new policy trees, that's what it first looks like. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that section. It's going to be interesting to go into, because now with the new the new policy system, they're bringing in this new talent system. And this is the one thing I kind of left Rise of Kingdoms in. So Rise of Kingdoms brought this out, I think, later on after I quit, because I didn't have these options. So basically, these are the talent quests, and it's kind of cool. So within the season, how it works is you're going to have basically these talent quests maybe at the top, where it's going to allow you to complete them to get one of these skills. And you can see there's 4 different branches you can pick from. So battle preparation, engineering, range assault, or battlefield domination. So what you do is you can complete your talent quest, and you can pick one, guys, one of the 2 of these trees, but you can go all the way down on all of them, it appears. So in theory, you could go, left, right on this one, left, right on this one. But then on here, you could go like right, left, or right, or left, right. You can do whatever you want. It does depend on, obviously, what you want in that season. So when these come out and we get more, obviously, information on what some of these do, or when they pop out in-game tomorrow, guess what? I'm going to be showcasing it all live, like always, for you guys. So it's going to be interesting. You can see there they did preview some. If you want to go back into the video, you can try and look at some of them, but I'm going to try and cover all of them in one go, because I think it'll be easier to do it in one go so you guys can understand. So here, all we're looking at is Rusty Leo, as well as you can see, Asaya, the 2 community managers that we work with, telling you what is going on with the season talents. And here you can see some of the quests. So these are the quests that it wants you to complete, and by completing these quests, you can see you're getting these talent points that I said, and you can spend those talent points in to those seasonal talents, and then you can see what stacks you get in and what you're activating and so on, right? So nice and simple system. It might have seemed a bit crazy at first, but I think a lot of Rise of Kingdoms players are going to know this. So now what we're going to do is just skip forward a little bit, because now we're going to go into the new heroes. So this is Bertrand. Bertrand is going to be the flying-based hero, because in his lore, he actually has the power to summon this, like, steed, this flying steed, and he uses it as his flying mount. So we do have a flying hero, and it isn't one of the angels that I was hoping for in the game, but we can now start to see some of Bertrand's abilities. And Bertrand, I'm not going to lie, guys, is very insane. He is very, very insane, because he's doing only singular target damage, right? Which is, some people might not think is great, but it's the way this hero works. And it's funny, because the way he works is similar to how I suggested like an arcane mage to work from World of Warcraft, which means basically, as you're dealing damage, or whenever you're fulfilling a specific requirement, you gain a stack. And by gaining that stack, you basically create yourself, like maybe in the first start of the fight, you might deal a nice amount of damage. But by the second cycle of skills, guess what? You've got like 3 stacks. So now you're doing a nice, insane, quick burst of damage. And you can keep doing this and hopefully cycling for even bigger bursts, right? So it's more of like a combo-y, heavy mage, and this is kind of how he wants to work. So if you look at his first skill, it is damage to a target legion. It consumes all stacks of the golden mark, increasing damage dealt 5% per stack, right? We don't have any stacks here, it says yet, but until we go into a little bit later. But when Bertrand deals hero skill damage, he will gain 1 stack of the golden mark, and then here we go, maximum of 3 stacks. So you can go all the way up to 15%, basically a minimum on these stacks. But each stack of golden mark increases the hero skill damage dealt by 10% when maxed out. So this is a 30% actual increase now on how much damage you're going to be gaining. Then on his next skill, all of your units are going to gain 25% magic attack, which is great for scaling that damage proc. And then 10% defense penetration. That's insane, guys. That's going to allow even, the players that might be a little bit lacking behind in the research tech, guess what? You're going to be punching through players' defense, and you're going to hit them even harder. So very important passive skill here. And then the final one, which is even nicer, whenever you're in the field, which is always when you're exiting your city, Bertrand's Legion gains 15% attack and defense if they have not taken any normal attack damage for 3 seconds. So basically how this reads is if you've not taken any skilled, normal attack damage while you're out of combat, you're going to have this 15% defense buff. But as soon as someone targets you and you dealt, that normal attack damage, you're going to lose these stats, which is okay because you might have to just reposition and come back out, and then you're going to gain them after 3 seconds again, right? So it is all about, being not targeted. That's the main thing. If you're taking counter attack damage, that's fine. Area effect damage, that's fine, but it's normal attacks. And basically it states when you are targeted right now. So it's really powerful, honestly. And here, when we go to the Awakening, we get to see the differences in the actual skills, right? Because the Awakening is an upgrade of his skill, which is 1300 damage normal with increased per stack, and then 1500 and then increased by 5% per stack, right? So, is Bertrand good? I'm going to tell you guys right now, he is very good. Do not listen to people thinking this guy is not going to be great. He is going to be insanely powerful for flying marches. I can immediately see Bertrand with Atheist for the lower spenders. And if you've got, your fear to like a 5-5-1-1 even, her with Bertrand is going to be disgustingly powerful, guys. Especially when you can have something like Fear potentially primary to give that Bertrand immediately that hero skill damage buff on top of his hero skill damage buff, and then he gets the stacks next round and it goes again even harder. I'm just saying, guys, it's a very good hero. Don't sleep on it. I actually can't wait. And I'm actually surprised as well it's single target, but I'm happy to see it instead of all the area of effect, magic mages, because that means Valen and Lilia, in theory, still have their place. They are the best at area of effect damage at the moment, right? So, kind of love that. So now we're going to go to Tohar, and Tohar is, like I said, the garrison hero for you guys, and he's got a very interesting ability, and it's a channeling ability. So after every 5 normal attacks, Tohar channels Rage of the platoon, dealing damage to a target legion every second up to 5 seconds. Moving interrupts the channeling. So the way this works, as you can imagine, it's a little bit hit and miss. I think it's going to be obviously insane for garrisons, right? Because garrisons are going to have this skill up all the time. But when we're talking about open field, it's going to be a little bit hit and miss, I believe, right? It's going to be, I think, okay at the start, right? Because I think what you can actually do with this skill when you read it, it says after every 5 normal attacks, and there's a comma. So that's basically like a little charge up time. So in theory, what you could do is, hit 1, 2, or 3 times, back out of the fight to make sure you're in a good position. And then when you go bang, bang, it's going to immediately start doing it. And people might not realize you're dealing that damage because you've just entered combat and you've done 1 or 2 normal attacks, right? But the problem is when you are dealing that damage, obviously players are now going to, in theory, swarm you. Because if they swarm you now, they're going to stop your damage because you are dealing a massive amount of damage. 300 damage over 5 seconds, guys. So that's 1,500 damage. That's the same amount of damage as we've seen Bertrand do. However, Bertrand deals it instantly. So he can technically fire off his skill and run away, while Tohar can't. So that's going to obviously put him in restrictive race. However, I'm not going to put him out. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to put him out because there is some other skills in here, right? This is the garrison skill. Unfortunately, it's on the 2nd skill. Hopefully, it was going to be on the 4th one or 3rd one. So at least maybe we can get a 5-5-1-1 hero for anyone else who might be playing who isn't going to be a T5 player, right? But we can't do that. But here you're going to increase the attack of the garrison army by 20%, while you have over 50%. So this is okay. It's an alright buff. I won't go too crazy on it though. But when we go into the next one, this is when it starts getting a little bit interesting. So magic units deals 30% more hero skill damage, but deals 5% less normal attack damage. And the thing is, this skill is very good. Because the thing is, if you have this skill maxed out, 30%, what people don't realize is the way, Tohar deals damage here isn't like, any other mage. He's not dealing instant bursts. He's almost kind of like, it sounds about weird, But he's almost like an archer mage. Does that make sense? He's like an archer mage where his actual damage is dealing auto attacks. Because when he's dealing auto attacks, that's how he channels his ability. And when you get to stand still and keep doing that, that's when you get some obscene damage out, right? So even then you get 30% damage increase on this skill, right? Which isn't bad, guys. It's not bad at all. But the problem is, as you can imagine with it all, is it going to be worth standing still? And the thing is, here we get a really good passive on top, which is whenever we are channeling that skill, we're going to get 15% counterattack damage reduction, and we get a 35% defense bonus, meaning we are very, very tanky when we are dealing that damage. So, I don't want to knock Tohar actually out of the park. A lot of people are saying he's very bad, and people said similar things, sadly, with Syndreon, and we learned the hard way with Syndreon. And the thing is, I'm going to keep my book a little bit more open with Tohar, because honestly, I think if you are a Garrison player, you will want this hero, because I don't think people realize how strong this is going to be as a magic Garrison. Yeah, currently, you know, the archers will most likely beat these, we'll soon see, but it's still a meta where, you know, they're creating Garrison and Rally heroes, you know, for the future and for Roots of War, so you can have an infantry, cavalry, archer, and magic, and overall, hopefully, Garrison and Rally, so you can have a nice mixture of stuff. So don't sleep on Tohar. I think Tohar is going to be surprisingly very, very good. Then we go into the war pets on the patch. The war pets we get to see is the Shadow Drake and the Broom Bear here, but we don't really get to see much more of them. We get to see some nice 3D, you know, images, but we don't get to see these skills. We get to see him look around here, and we can see our skill for the Broom Bear is called Quickening, Terrible Quickening, and Forceful Quickening. So this could be some sort of damage ability, because Forceful normally increases the damage dealt, but we can see it's a strength, agility, and endurance based pet. So you can see this is what we want. They're even recommending it here with the new strategy recommendations being added, and all of those different skills being physical. So it looks like an offensive pet that's coming in. But now we've got the new artifacts, and this is actually where I want to talk about a lot more, because the new artifacts, I think, are going to be a lot more interesting for the game. And it sounds crazy, I know, but it really is. So this has an additional effect as we're reading this. So the Mage Orb, or the Mirage Orb, actual ability, it summons a bunch of orbs, and you're going to see it start firing them out, which is really, really cool. But every time your Legion gains a buff through hero skill, they deal 7% more artifact skill damage, going all the way up to 21%, which is, I think, nuts. Because if you have, imagine, Mirage Orb with, as I said, Bertrand and Fear, Bertrand's gaining that extra bit of hero skill damage because of the golden marks on his hero skill when he triggers him, and he's also getting another bit of hero skill damage from Fear. So you're gaining technically 2 different buffs there from hero skill damages, which means you should be getting to at least 14% really quickly. And then you're going to be able to trigger this, right? And you can see here the autocast feature too, which is really cool. You can choose to toggle if you want this to autocast or not. But here we get to see some numbers. So it deals damage to the target legion, then knocks 2 enemy legions near the target airborne. It's insane, guys. It's an area of effect, dealing damage, and a CC artifact. Like, this is, I'm not gonna lie, guys, the best artifact in the game. I'm not gonna lie, it's the best artifact in the game. The fact that you're dealing an insane amount of damage, as well as on top of it, you're now doing an area of effect knock up. So you don't even need to be there anymore, right? You can just knock these guys up. It's insane. It's insane, guys. So I would not sleep on this, and I would suggest if you can unlock this artifact, you go for it, right? You need this artifact. But now we get to the next ones. And the cool thing is, the next actual artifacts we're going to look at are all of the epic ones, right? And the thing is, each of the epic artifacts is basically a damage dealing, very cool, offensive PvP style artifact. And yes, you only can get them in a Forge of Light event, but I think with the Forge of Light event and now the Mirage Orb being there, if you roll this wheel, you're actually getting good artifacts now, because you're not just gaining those gold key artifacts that are kind of, you know, wasteful, that you've got probably plenty of, right? You're gaining artifacts that are PvP. And if you're not gaining the legendary, you're still gaining basically a side prize. And these seem really good. 1200 damage at level 1, 350, 1k. You know, look at all this damage these are dealing. And they do different stuff. Some of them dispel different effects. Some actually do CC. Some do a little bit of everything, right? Or just straight up damage. But each of the 4 units have now an actual really competitive PvP artifact. And I think that's really good for the free-to-play players. So here we get to see just a showcase. They're introducing the brand new artifact system, how it can obviously cast onto a target that you want it to, or you can drag however you like, you know, so you can auto cast it. But there we got to see the Mirage Orbs being used. So here, again, we get to see if you wait 2 seconds, it's going to auto cast. And this is the feature that I was just showcasing earlier. All you got to do, as he said, click the auto cast and you're getting plugged in and it goes. And like I said, that is really good for a lot of artifacts. Really, really good. But for some artifacts, you might want it off. And we might make a video on that. Maybe, you know, drop down a comment below and I'll tell you guys what you want. So, next section. Next section is actually the nice one. And I guessed pretty much all of this correct. Apart from the skin. And the skin, if we just cut it back in time, is an infantry HP skin. Really, really good. Really, really good skin, guys. So if you can go for this skin in the Festive Ball, which I'm going to showcase straight after this, go for it, because it's giving your infantry unit HP, which is one of the stats they really, really want to keep themselves on the battlefield. And on top of this, you're only losing cavalry defense. And to be honest, you're not really using cavalry when you've got infantry out. Personally, you can use cavalry on their own, and then you can use like infantry with mages or archers just to give yourself that frontline play. But when we go into it, you can see obviously the new, you know, festive stuff and that. But what we're going to go into is the Festive Ball machine. And this is what I was talking about the other day. So how it works is pretty simple. You're going to do certain tasks. You can obviously buy as well on the daily. Maybe one day, like the devs, we can have 999 tokens for this bad boy. But you're going to spin this 5 times. And as you can see, there's an arrow here and there's an arrow just above my head. And what this means is, for a player like yourselves, you can choose what rewards you want, but each table has its own set of rewards. So in this one, you've got 1 of the skin, you've got 6 legendary sculptures, and then on either side, you're going to have basically something similar. So if you went right, you would have the nameplate, and it might have 8 legendary sculptures and 3 of these stars. And if you went to the, you know, the portrait, like, so you had a nice little cool portrait instead, you might have the portrait in the middle and then maybe only like 7, you know, you might have only 7 instead of 8, but then you have 5 stars. So you can see each one of these are going to have their own loot table. We've dealt with this before, so it's nothing new for you guys, and it's really easy, right? So you can see, you just open them, and once you've opened them, they're out of the loot table. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more when that event comes, just to remind you guys how it works and how to maximize getting everything that you actually want in those events. And now we get to the Trial of the Beast. And this is the one thing we didn't know on how it was going to work, and it's really cool. So it's basically a behemoth. So it's the behemoth raid that we know. We're going to be fighting against the giant bear in this behemoth raid, and you basically got to complete tasks as you can see as a server, it seems, or as a, you know, yourself, and there's rankings on doing so. As you do this, you're going to be able to obviously gain those rewards. But now it's just showcasing the other sets of events that we know of, right? So the trial event, the little search around event, and stuff like that. So everything there, event-wise, we know of, honestly, that we've seen them all. So I don't want to go too in-depth in that. I wanted to go more in-depth on the heroes and the artifacts, as you guys can imagine, right? As we're finishing up today's video. We've got here some other improvements. If you want to check out the Dragon Trials as it's about to be shown, it's got new improvements. There's behemoth challenges. There's actually tower defense challenges. So they've revamped this into a really fun game mode now. So I think players might actually enjoy Dragon Trials for once. So we'll see if that is the case. And then on top of this, they've added more changes, as you guys know. It's quality of life changes. Like I said, the auto attack casting on artifacts, all the different stuff on policies and more. I'm going to leave this part of the segment for you guys to check out. But the more important thing that's coming in season, patch, the next patch is all of the behemoths. So all of the behemoths that you're going to see now are easier on the elite ranking. So all the elite ranking ones are easier. So here, the top 5, so meaning the Giant Bear, Frost Giant, Thunderrock, and Hydra, and Necro, are all easier on the elite level, I believe, if I remember rightly, on their difficulties. However, the Magma Demon and Frost Dragons are occupational difficulty, meaning the first time you go to capture it, has become easier as well. So you're going to be able to capture these two guys easier as well. So if you're stuck in your season and you've not been able to do it, guess what? You're going to be able to grab it. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's going to sum up the video. I don't want to go anymore. We can enjoy, hopefully, this Season 2-1. I'm going to leave it on this screen here just because I'm going to suggest that this is going to be one of the more important sections that we are going to want to take advantage of in the new season for like a free-to-play and a low spender, because it's kind of like the new added extra, you know, seasonal reset system and how you can obviously gain more of an advantage in the battlefield. So we're going to have to obviously look down each one of these perks, each one of these talents, which one's worth it and which ones are not, and hopefully give you guys the best advice for that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. This patch comes out tomorrow on the 24th. Today is the 23rd. Today is my birthday, and if you've watched today's video all the way to the end, hope you guys tune in later on for the birthday stream that I'm going to be rocking. And if you are wanting to, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and hit the like. Until next time, stay safe, stay sneaky, guys, and enjoy your day.